Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Runestone, and today we're going to be looking at the top 5 Kaldheim Saga cards. This is just the preview release, so let's see what there are. So we're going to be looking at the top 5 Saga cards. This is just a preview of what they are, and we're going to go over each one to see what is the best and the worst of the Saga cards. So let's begin with number 5. And at number 5 we have Nicodeides Destiny. It's 1 colorless and a plains and an island, and the Saga is number 1. It says you gain 2 life for each foretold card you own in exile. Then add white and blue. Spend this mana only to foretell cards and or cast the spells that have foretell. And number 3, return target card with foretell from your graveyard to your hand. Again, this card is at number 5. It is probably the worst one because there's actually not a lot of cards with foretell so far that they've shown in the pre-released. And if that's the case, white and blue are not actually the biggest ones. A lot of red is from the foretells. So let's move on to number 4. At number 4 we have Ascent of the Worthy. It's 1 colorless and a white and a swamp. And this Saga says for 1 and 2, it says choose a creature you control until your next turn. All damage that would be dealt to creatures you control is dealt to that creature instead. Then number 3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a flying counter on it. That creature is an angel warrior in addition to its other types. So again, it says return target creature card from your graveyard. So it's not specific to any creature, so this is why it's at number 4. It's really cool for 3 mana. At that point, the game is starting to get going if you have some creatures out, and especially if you don't have a graveyard removal card. This is why it's at number 4, so let's move on to number 3. At number 3, we got the Blood Sky Massacre for 1 colorless and a swamp and a mound. And for Saga number 1, it says create a 2/3 red demon berserker creature token with menace. Whenever a berserker attacks this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And for the third one, it says add a mountain for each berserker you control. Until end of turn, you don't lose the mana as steps and phases end. Which is really cool. You don't lose the mana and you draw cards. Anything that draws cards in MTG is really good, I personally think. This is really cool, and it costs only 3, so this is totally worth it. You get a 2/3 menace on top of that. So let's move on to number 2. At number 2, we have Harald of Unite of the Elves. Costs 2 colors and swamp and a forest, so it's so far the most expensive of the Sagas. But step 1, it says mill 3 cards. You may put an elf or a Tyvar card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. Step 2 would be, for the Saga, put a +1/+1 counter on each elf control. And whenever an elf control attacks this turn, target creature and opponent controls get -1/-1 until their turn. And I feel this is very good, and then it brings back the whole elf concept to the Magic world, and you can have a lot of elves against Harald Unites the Elves. So that's really cool. But let's move on to number 1. And the best Saga card for the series right now is called the Raven's Warning. It costs 1 colorless and a plains and an island, which is already strong color in the series. It says 1, create a 1/1 blue bird token creature with flying and you gain 2 life. The second step is whenever 1 or more creatures control with flying deal combat damage to a player this turn, look at the player's hand and draw a card. Drawing cards, awesome. Again, I go with that. That's amazing. I love it. Then you have step 3. It says you may put a card from your own outside the game on top of your library. Again, super bonus. This is a great Saga card. I think is the best Saga card you can possibly get, and it will bring back the birds in the Magic world, where there are quite a few decks already being played. So there we go, guys. Those are the top 5 Saga cards for this series, and I hope you enjoyed the video and have a good day and a good evening.